Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the Queers of Time podcast.
I'm Matt.
I'm James.
I'm Kenny.
And I'm Kat.
And this is a podcast to talk about all the gay stuff in the Wheel of Time.
Because we're gay and we like the Wheel of Time. As always, shout out to Lurks, our feral venerator of Sorain, and also shout out to Travis for the help with the transcription, and to Kevin for the promo video.
Hit me, baby, one more time. Or is it take my baby one more time? Yeet my baby one more time? Does your trauma even count if your baby is fake? Who knows? But I know that this was a real banger of an episode, and today on Queers of Time, that's what we'll be talking about. Season 2, Episode 3, What Might Be. Join us as we eat the rich, tame the possum, and get drunk on Elayne's questionable moonshine.
Does your trauma even count if the baby isn't real?
It does.
Of course it counts.
So as for the previous episode, we are going to start with a first section that does not contain any book spoiler. We will just be talking about the first and second season of The Wheel of Time up to episode 3. And after that, we'll move on to another section containing spoilers for all of the Wheel of Time books. So if you have only watched the show and want to hear some queer people talking about it, you can stick around until we reach that full spoiler section. Now, where do we want to start? I feel like we have a lot to talk about regarding this episode, so...
I feel like we should talk about Nynaeve last, because that's going to be the most that we have.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
At least.
Do we want to do the Shanchan first?
We can talk about the Shanchan, yeah. I thought they were terrifying.
Me too.
Yeah.
In an amazing way. I was looking up because I wanted to see, I couldn't remember Alwyn's name, the speaker, or whatever, the voice. And I saw that the child Damane's name is Miri. And I'm like, oh, that's cute that her name is Miri. That's such a cheerful name. I enjoyed how scary the Shanchan were, and Alwyn was probably the most terrifying of them all. Mm-hmm. Like, Suroth, scary. The Damane, scary. The Deathwatch Guard. But the smile that Alwyn has on her face, like, she is genuinely happy. She loves her life right now. She is living her best life.
Yeah.
She could be saying, may the odds be ever in your favor, and that'd be the same vibe.
Mm-hmm.
100%. 100%. She's giving me, the vibe she was giving me was like, there's no war in Ba Sing Se, but in like the most genuine way possible. Like, she's being genuine when she says that. No brainwashing.
I said that on the Dusty Wheel, and no one got that reference.
Come on.
What?
I don't get it.
God, Matt.
Is it an Avatar?
It
yes.
is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my friend Val wants me to watch that cartoon, and I'm like, maybe.
It's a good one. It's genuinely a good one.
I heard the way that you said that cartoon, so we're gonna nip that in the bud. Let's put that on record, shall we?
I did it just to be a little chaos gremlin.
It's good that you're still seeking attention.
Okay, so Shanchan.
So one of my things that I love the most about them is that it's the accents. Like, I was expecting and hoping for Texas accents, but what we got was so much better. It was, as I described it, it's a combination of two accents, one that's real and one that's fake. And the real one is, like, obviously they do have a very southern, or a slightly southern lilt, or Alwyn does at least. But what really got me was that they employ the mid-Atlantic accent that you see in a lot of old Hollywood movies, which is sort of like a combination of British and English. And it was used to...
British and English, as if British wasn't English.
British and British... I misspoke. I meant to say British and American. Like, it was meant to be I did not mean English. I meant British and American. It was sort of meant to be a unifying accent among the social elites. in the early mid-20th century in the United States, and it's very much associated with old school Hollywood, but also with like people who think way too much of themselves. And the fact that they combined that with a Southern accent is just, it's very intentional and very brilliant. And the way that Alwyn delivered it was amazing. It was so good.
Even though I was expecting it, it was jarring to hear that accent, because it immediately, like, even for people who only watch the show, they immediately understand, oh, these people are other. They are very much, it was obvious before that they are very different, but these people are like almost alien to everyone else that we've seen. And I think it was really well done. The smirk, first of all, the pout that Lady Suroth gets when they don't bow, and then followed by...
Yeah, when Uno is like, no, fuck you and your bloody oaths.
Yep. She literally pouts. And then the small smile of satisfaction when, like, everyone is bowing and Uno is tragically dead. It's chilling and so good. Like, I am loving the way that they're portraying the Shan-Chan. They're the perfect amount of terrifying.
After this episode, everyone was talking about the accent, and I could not get anything. I didn't notice anything. However, now that I've rewatched, I'm like, oh yeah, indeed, they seem to have a different accent. It makes me laugh because I do remember a conversation we had, I don't know, maybe a few months ago, where Matt, you were talking about accent and different accent, and now we got the American accent of the show.
There you go.
The only way they could have really done it wrong is giving them the exact same accent as the typical Randland person. But they wouldn't have done that.
I mean, so the Death Watch guard didn't have that different of an accent.
That's true.
The one that singled out Uno, her accent was just generic. But that was just Suroth and Alwyn definitely have accents. So it might just be like a high blood accent and everyone else just talks normal.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Also, the Damane that was picking out the women who can channel.
Miri.
It makes me so sad. Every time I saw her, it made me so sad because she's very young. Like, she's what, maybe 12?
Yeah.
11 or 12? And obviously it's either some kind of talent or she's able to sense other women who can channel. Either way, it was depressing. And as it should be. It's very sad.
It was, as a book reader who is also from the South, caveat, someone who is, I'm not Black, I don't come from slavery, but being raised, so like I don't have that same connection, I guess, or it doesn't hit me in the same way it would someone who comes from a background of enslaved people. But I do come from a place in the country where there are still slavery apologists, and where I grew up learning that, slavery, yeah, it sucked sometimes, but most masters were good to their slaves, and it's how our economy ran. And just seeing that on screen was just deeply disturbing for me. It was by far, like, no contest, the most disturbing part of the San-Chan, anything that they did in any of the episodes, and including the fuck that girl in particular on the beach last season. It was just very traumatizing.
Yeah. This is a very clear example of a society that has, like, that mentality has completely seeped in. That, like, yep, this is how it is. This is what we do. This is the correct, and not just this is what we do. This is what everyone should be doing. Everyone should be like that. And I think they are setting up that sort of the way that society works really, really well. Yeah.
It's just very scary in general. I don't like them.
As it should be. They shouldn't be. I'm glad that we are getting villains who are actually formidable and scary and not just like cartoonish,
Oh my god, yes.
Do we have more to say on the San-Chan?
We have to talk about the Uno of it all, right?
Do we want to talk right now, or do we want to talk in the spoiler section?
In this section, I just think that it was a good way to show that the Shan-Chan mean business by taking a very minor character, albeit a very loved character, but
Yeah.
a very minor character, and saying, yeah, dead.
I agree.
It also made up for the lack of, for me, I didn't like that episode too. Like when they were in that village, there wasn't that like people were flayed and people were like, I'm not saying we need more gore. I am saying, however, that lots of gore happened in the books, and that's not really a spoiler, but it's nice to see like how serious this is on screen.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, I agree. I think they needed a way for viewers to know these people are serious and they are not fucking around. And this was it.
Since we're talking about the Ascension, do we have anything to say about Perrin after the Ascension?
I don't have anything specific to say about Perrin. My things from the last episode, why is it Shamael there? Doesn't he have better things to be doing? That's it.
Flirting with Pear Bear.
I think that's what he's doing.
Look, maybe Perrin's his favorite.
Maybe.
We don't know.
Yeah.
I am very excited to see what episode 4 has in store for Perrin. I think this was a very transitory episode. It introduced the idea. It showed that Perrin is going to go on his wolf journey in the next episode.
His what?
Beyond that, we don't know.
Oh, his wolf journey.
What did you think I said?
His woke journey.
Oh boy.
His woke journey. He's joining Antifa in the next episode.
My name's Perrin. I'm in the Antifa now. My pronouns are they, him.
He's joining Antifa. My pronouns are they, him.
Okay.
My name's Perrin. I'm joining Antifa.
That's it.
My pronouns are they, him.
Not they, him.
Okay.
God.
Do we want to move on to Rand, maybe?
Yes.
Here's where Matt talks about the horniness.
The homoeroticism between Rand and Logan. Oh my god.
Oh boy.
The sex dripping off the screen.
Go ahead.
I don't know how much y'all talked about, but Rand is such a sweet boy in the episode, in season 2 or episode 2. I mean, he's so sweet.
Yeah.
And I know that he was doing everything to get close to Logan, but my boy, my sweet boy, I can't wait to see him traumatized. But yes, all the Rand stuff basically was just fantastic. I don't know. My notes just say more homoeroticism between Rand and Logan, please. I think that pretty much speaks for itself.
Yeah. Okay, this isn't quite... I was going to say if it's spoilers, but I don't think it is. But Logan depicts madness perfectly because he's in denial of the fact that it's madness. He's saying it's Aes Sedai lies. And honestly, you begin to question whether or not the madness is actually real.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of know from season 1, episode 4, but what if it's exaggerated? Like, what if Logan is more sane than he seems? Like, that leads to some doubt.
Yeah.
I like it.
That was very well done. And that was a twist I was not expecting. On the Rand plot, I did enjoy... Like, I enjoyed a lot the scene, the Karen feast. I thought it was nice to see this high society. There was some very good shot in this scene, like the first overhead shot on the tables and the moving backward until you see the whole scene. I thought that was a very nice way to present what's going on and to let people digest this very different society, because it really shows that there's this big contrast between the Foregate, where Rand is living, and where basically they're sending some people to their death because they consider there's already too many people here, which is awful. Yeah,
I'm like, it got very Hunger Games.
It did, yeah.
I will say I'm not having a hard time with it. It's just not how I envisioned the show or the books. Like, I didn't picture it being like a super high society type of thing, because the books never felt like, at least, I don't know. Cut that part. I'm being a book cloak. Don't cut it. It's fine.
It's okay.
I don't know if it's a criticism. It just doesn't jive with like what I thought of in the books. Like, I pictured people looking more like Rand. They looked very homogenous. And like everyone was dressed in that shade of white.
Well, rich people do inbreed.
I'm aware that they're all white, although there was some diversity there. There was
There was diversity there, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, there were people of all colors and people of different heights. Like Lady Dulaine or whatever was a small person. So that was cool.
Yeah.
I liked the costuming. I thought the costuming was just a little too homogenous.
Yeah. But at the same time, it allows Rand's coat to really pop.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Rand's coat is spectacular.
Fantastic.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I really liked that scene because it served a few purposes. Like, one, it showed us that, or it didn't show us because we already know this, but it reinforced the idea that this is not a medieval fantasy series. It also showed us that the wealthy of this world are just as much of a fuck as the wealthy of our world. And I like y'all say Hunger Games. I guess this reveals how much not a nerd I am, but I thought of France, like 1790s era France.
Wow. It's almost like that's what they drew inspiration from.
I know, yes. Like,
Yeah, that were more my thoughts at the Hunger Games, to be honest.
Very much. Yeah.
yeah, I got very much 1791 Paris vibes. Like, if the final battle wasn't coming and the dragon hadn't been reborn, I'm pretty sure that these people are like 2 to 3 years away from the guillotine.
Oh, absolutely.
What did we think of Celine?
Oh my
Oh.
god, I love her so much.
I can't say anything other than she's fantastic.
I really loved how she was surprised by Rand's naivety. And I love her character. I think she's very well played, and I'm excited to see more of her.
Yeah, she's great.
This series continues to prove that I don't have any bisexuality in me, because if anything in this show would have made me question myself, it would have been Celine losing her shit for a second and being like, if you ever do this again, I will kill you. It's like, oh my god, that's hot. But it just didn't get me excited.
And you know what? It was the opposite for me. If anything, like, it solidified it for me.
Also, you and Camille both did not notice Massima
Yes.
at all.
Yes.
So,
You mean chicken arms?
Oh.
the fuck?
Oh my. Uh-oh.
What?
I guess that's not Matt's type, I suppose. It seems like, is what we're saying.
He doesn't have facial hair. He's your type.
He's a little too for me. Off-putting.
Okay, no. We're in the show.
In the show.
We're in the show.
Oh, oopsies. I mean, as a person, he's attractive, but like...
That's all I needed.
Yeah, but like that's all we have so far with the TV show.
That's all we... Yeah.
That's all he needs to do. Stand there, look pretty.
Yeah.
Take off his pants. Jack off a little bit.
On this, let's move on.
Well, the last thing I personally have on the whole Rand plotline was that we got to see an actual Gleeman for the first time in the series. For the first time in both seasons of the show, we see an actual Gleeman. And I think that's really, really cool that we see an actual Gleeman.
Yay for actual Gleemans.
I don't remember that.
It was there for like 10 seconds.
Oh.
He was telling the story of the Hunt of the Horn.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, when Rand left the sanatorium and was looking for a bottle of red, and there was a lovely Gleeman that we saw for the first time in the Wheel of Time show.
And he had an awesome coat, too. He had an awesome Gleeman's coat. I loved it.
It was nice and colorful.
It was great.
And he had a nice voice.
He did.
It's amazing what you can do with real Gleeman.
We're going to get some comments about this.
That's fine. We can get the comments. We'll survive.
Direct them all at me. Because this is the only Gleeman that has been in the Wheel of Time.
Okay, so next.
Matt and Leandrin.
Leandrin, yeah.
I want to talk about Leandrin just by herself, because Leandrin had some fucking cool lines in this episode. She was cold.
Yeah.
She say a few things to Matt, like, I see nothing, you left them, you do it again, you don't matter. She says a lot of, like, she said some deep stuff to Egwene too, like, you were supposed to be the smart one, and then almost like threatening her. And even with me, like, she was perfect. She
was so mean. She was so mean.
Damn.
Look, as people that have listened to the podcast know, I do not care for Matt. Her dressing down of Matt and telling him how he doesn't matter and making him cry, I was a little bi there.
That's understandable. You know what? Kate Fleetwood, she has that effect.
I'm just saying, like, that dressing down of Matt was phenomenal.
Yeah.
You don't matter. Burden someone else.
I was cackling. And Leandrin is, at that moment, she's so annoyed about Nynaeve's testing going horribly wrong. And she's just like, fuck this man specifically.
Specifically,
I am going to ruin this man's day. And that's that. And that's what she did.
I have been torturing this man for 5 months. Let's put the frosting on the cake.
Yeah.
Let's ruin him. And then we find out that it had a purpose.
It did. And she was apparently holding back. Everything before was her restraining herself. And so she was really letting loose in that moment, which good for her. Good for her.
Yeah, I'm so excited to figure out what's going on between, like, what did she ask Min to do? What did she tell her? What does she have on her that forces Min to do that? Yeah, the whole thing, what were her plan at the end of it? How did she know that Matt would not go to see Egwene?
Because Matt's a stupid coward bitch baby.
She knows him. What she said was mean, but she was not wrong. Like, she wasn't wrong about what she was saying. She knows his personality. She knows his vibe. She knew that he wouldn't go.
She is, like, very old. She's, like, at least 100.
Yeah.
She's seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's seen shit.
She knows a fucking coward when she sees one.
And also, what I noticed in this episode is that, like, she's cold. She's not the only Aes Sedai for being cold. Like, all of them are freaking cold.
Shiriam. Shiriam.
Even Lyanna.
Shiriam.
They are, listen.
Your fears are your own. Do not burden us with them. Your grief is your own.
Egwene's sitting there sobbing, in tears, distraught.
What the fuck is this Aes Sedai life lonely and unhealthy? Like, I'm sure they do not talk about feelings with any other Aes Sedai ever.
Mm-mm.
Again, there is no mental health Aja.
Exactly.
The yellow Aja deals exclusively with physical wounds. The second someone says they're depressed, they're like, I'm out.
We don't do that here.
Do not burden us with your...
Yeah.
So I did love, we're getting into the Nynaeve territory, but I love that Elayne was like, what those fears are for you to know, and you need to tell no one more than you wish. And then the second Nynaeve says something, Leandrin's like, don't burden me with your secrets.
She's like, I just fucking told you. What did I fucking say?
Well, Elayne was like, you can talk about it if you want a little bit, but not much.
Not too much.
But Leandrin's like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. No.
Leandrin is me when I go into the office and a coworker that I barely talk to wants to talk. I'm like, your problems are your own. You go through the gate by yourself. Just shoot.
You're on your own, bitch.
You're on your own.
That's a healthy approach to take to life.
Yeah, to be clear, we should not be taking life advice from any of these women.
Nope.
To be clear.
None of these women.
None of these women.
All of these women need to go to therapy.
They all need serious therapy.
Can you imagine being a therapist
God.
in the White Tower?
My God.
You would need your own therapist.
100%.
You would need several therapists.
Mm-hmm. Several backups.
I do love Shiriam in this episode. I thought she was showing a little bit of kindness towards Nynaeve during her test, but then she was like, oh, Egwene, this isn't how I wanted you to find out. She's dead.
I know.
Bye.
The way she says it is so out of pocket. Like, it's so out of pocket. What?
It's a mild, like, oh, well, I guess, this isn't ideal, but she's dead.
She says it like she's telling Egwene that Nynaeve, and I mean, I guess she did, failed her exam, but like a written exam. Like something mundane.
Right.
And like, just like, is like, okay, well.
Well, Nynaeve failed her geometry lesson.
Yes.
Just another Tuesday here.
Yeah, typical Tuesday. I mean, what are we gonna do?
Nynaeve wasn't ready yet, just so you know, Egwene. And also, she never will be because she's kind of dead now. Anyways, so for lunch today, I would like you to bring me some chicken and some tomatoes that I can munch on so the camera can pan up close while I munch the tomatoes.
And I don't want to see a single tear. Not a single tear.
Skirting the Nynaeve line, I loved Lyanna, Shiriam's, and Leandrin's reaction to the arch closing. Lyanna was like, Nynaeve Elmira has made her choice, and then walks away. Shiriam dresses down Leandrin, and then walks away. And then Leandrin just throws the jar.
So mad.
She was so mad.
She was so mad.
But I wonder why.
I have so many questions. I don't know.
Why is Nynaeve so important to Leandrin?
I'm like, why is she feeling so much about Nynaeve and the rest?
She loves Nynaeve. She genuinely cares about her. And I think that's weird.
Yeah, I think she does.
But not in a bad way.
I don't know. I don't know if I think that, but I could buy it. But
I think she genuinely cares. And because she sees a girl that has been traumatized as she has been traumatized.
Yeah.
And she wants to take care of her.
Yeah.
And you know what? We love convoluted people.
I love it.
We love mess.
this is why this season is so much better than... I love the first season, don't get me wrong, but this is why the second season is so much better, because when there was a big deviation last season, it was like, okay, I can sort of see where that's going. Sure, I'll go with it. This season, when there's a massive deviation, it's like, oh my God, what could be happening? What could be going on? Like, what is she? Why is she doing this? What could be happening? Like, we're all theorizing, and it's like the changes aren't just like to condense the story, they propel the story in a different direction that gets us excited. And that's why I'm really into this season, just generally.
Yeah.
I would argue that season 1 did that for some people.
Yeah.
The changes that they made.
I agree with that.
Yes.
Then season 2 is doing it better.
I had one more thing that was not related to the test. So when Egwene is trying to bring back Nynaeve, Elayne comes and says this line, "You're not the first one to try. In 3,000 years, they've been over 100 attempts to bring back a lost friend or lover." And I actually did not notice it at first.
I didn't either.
Neither did I, yeah.
And it's Pevara who tagged our Queers of Time account on Twitter saying like, hey, casual queerness.
Love to see it.
Yeah, I did not notice it at all. That just shows how gay this show is.
Yeah.
That didn't even register.
It wasn't even a blip. And then when I saw people mentioning it, I was like, oh, that's so cool. This is amazing.
Yeah, some people have lovers in these towers that only contain women.
Mm-hmm.
We wonder what's happening.
Look, it's just a phase. It's just a phase.
I love Elayne.
You do things when you're bored in college.
It's just to release that pent-up,
Orgasm?
Yeah.
That pent-up orgasm?
that pent-up orgasm.
Lesbians till graduation.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's talk about the test.
Oh my God.
Let's start with this first introduction scene, which I actually don't have much to say because for me it was very close to the book, which means I didn't care much for it.
Interesting.
Which part?
So when the three Aes Sedai are explaining to Nynaeve the purpose of the test and then channeling to open the arches, and it's very, very close to the book, and it's a nice scene, but I don't really have much to say about it because it's exactly the same scene than in the books.
I liked the fact that they kept some of the rituals, like washing her with the, not really book spoilers, like that's something they did in the books was washing her to cleanse her sins after she came out. I am a little sad that they didn't say the last part of it, which is the way will come but once, be steadfast. Mm-hmm. But because the be steadfast is something that's like, I don't know, it's a slight miss on my part.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah. I liked it.
It's funny because I've seen a lot of book readers commenting on that and I did not remember about the be steadfast.
It's fine.
I didn't remember the steadfast line.
No one expects you to.
I totally thought that it was Lord Agilmar who was leading the Great Hunt and not Ingtar. So,
So I really loved, I think my favorite of the 3 tests was the first one because I don't remember what it is in the books. I don't remember at all.
Wasn't that the one where she's followed by a Forsaken in a labyrinth?
She's followed by the Forsaken.
In the maze, yeah, in the labyrinth. Okay, yes. So I don't care about that. I really loved I was not expecting seeing Nynaeve's parents. I loved seeing the fact that her dad taught her about herbs, that her mother was an absolute badass, and getting, like, she was what, like 7 or 8 when her parents died? Like, she was young. And I loved the progression. I love the progression of the 3. Like, the first one, she was like, okay, it was the past. I get it. It's not real. The second one, she was like, no, we need to go fix it. And the third one, she, well, did what she did.
Yeah.
But that first one stuck with me the most. Like, watching her parents die in front of her, like, that happened.
Yeah.
It's intense.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being a kid and being told, oh, you're going to play in the Wheel of Time, and the only time we see yourself, it's in some water as a reflection of the water?
Yeah. That's a good point. Well,
Did they use the same girl?
No.
it's a different girl. Different girl. I do, just talking about her parents, you see so clearly the two sides of Nynaeve. Like, two sides of Nynaeve in both of her parents reflected perfectly. Where, like, you have the healer side, just like you were saying, James, about with the herbs and everything like that. You can see that. And that sort of obviously came from her father. And then the fiercely protective nature of her mother and how she just completely embodies that. Like, that is Nynaeve. And those are the two sides of Nynaeve. And just, like...
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's just, it's perfect. It's fantastic.
It felt so natural.
Mm-hmm.
Like, none of it felt like, oh, we're injecting this, even though it doesn't, like, go in there. It felt supernatural, which I loved.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not supernatural, super space natural.
I was also very impressed by Zoe Robbins in this test specifically because she's, I don't know, 27, something like that, but like she's playing a kid. She may not look like a kid, but she's playing like a 7, 8 years old. And I do think she behaved like she act like a kid too. And I thought that was very well done because it could have easily go into weird, like not really uncanny valley, but...
I mean, she was dressed like a child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, a dress is a dress for me, so but but yeah, no, the way she was acting, like some of the way she moved or some of the way she talked really felt like a kid, and I like that because I thought it was well done.
Yeah. Also, her Zoe Robbins' hair out like that, gorgeous. It's that has nothing to do with the testing, but she looked fantastic.
She's beautiful.
Yeah.
All the actors are bringing their A game, but Zoe Robbins and
It's seriously.
Kate Fleetwood are...
I feel like they are on a whole other level this season. It's stunning to watch. And just seeing sort of like the theme of Nynaeve's fears versus her bravery and how that's being set up, and just, you know, she's terrified, I feel like 80% of the time, but she will always push through, and she always wants to do the right thing, and she always wants to protect even when it's difficult. And this test is the 3 tests are perfectly tailored to exactly that. Just her fears of losing people and being the reason that people are lost to her, and finding the strength to push through that. It was so sad. It was so sad. And then the sort of neat tie-in from her hiding in the cellar, and her parents dying to protect her, to the third test where she puts her daughter down in the cellar, and goes up to protect her daughter. It's so good and so gut-wrenching.
It was very well done. It was very well written.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, as you said, I thought what the tests were was very good to define who Nynaeve is and what she really cares about, what she's very afraid of. It's about her not being able to save her parents. It's about her feeling like she left the river behind and maybe things are going wrong there, and instead she's in the White Tower where she doesn't feel like she's belong. And when she finally leaves the White Tower, it's still not a great thing. So it's also, I'm hoping that this will also push her to really give her, because right now it feels like she's been very reluctant to learn within the White Tower. And that last test, I'm hoping it's going to change a bit her perspective on that and make her realize that she needs to learn, and so she can, so she doesn't feel powerless anymore in those situations. Mm-hmm. It's really this feeling of being powerless.
Absolutely.
Like that appears through this test.
And I mean, there's nothing that Nynaeve loves more than a challenge, or specifically being told that you can't do this. Mm-hmm. This is not possible. This is not something you can do, because Nynaeve is just like, well, watch me. Fucking watch me do it. being told that channeling is not something that is possible during the testing, and trying it the first time, it not working, and then it happening anyway in the third test. It's just very on brand for her.
Again, the creator is afraid of nothing except for Nynaeve Almira.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Basically.
Yeah, this sort of brings me to I don't know how she gets the way to come back twice. I don't really care because it's Nynaeve. I do. I saw James's Twitter tweet, and it was really funny about a Nynaeve death fake out every season. They need to either do it or stop, because
Yeah, this needs to be the last one, or there needs to be one every season.
for real,
Like,
One or the other. Yeah.
because if they keep doing it, it'll become funny and it'll become like an in-universe joke. But they've got to stop.
how's Nynaeve gonna die this season?
How's it gonna happen?
Because that was why I was harsher on this episode. When I first saw it, I was harsher. It was that in the Uno scene were the reasons that I ranked this a bit lower than episode 2. But I've now, after rethinking it, I'm a bit better with the Nynaeve thing. I don't like that there were 2 fake outs with Nynaeve. I am glad that it was resolved at the end of this episode. If they had done it till the second episode, or the next episode, the 4th episode, I would have been cranky, because we know she's not going to die.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
I will say, though, I wasn't, this was the first time I was not on board with a potential change, because for a minute, I thought that she had actually left.
I knew she would not.
Like, for a minute.
Yeah, same.
Oh, wow.
For a minute.
They fooled me too.
Wow.
Until Shiriam is like, the voice says, the way will come back just once, or whatever. I was like,
Yeah.
Rafe, what you doing? Rafe, you're testing me. I love you. I am loyal. Why are you testing me like this?
And at the same time, I feel like for Nynaeve, it was important for her to really see how her life would have evolved without this training at the tower. So I liked that, yeah, she spends those long years in the arch.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Nynaeve is gone, and telling that to Ygritte, maybe that could have been shortened up and skipped. I didn't mind it particularly because I don't care about the fake out. I think people are a bit too dramatic about the fake out.
People are dramatic.
I feel like in every TV show, bit like sci-fi related or fantasy related, like some of the main characters definitely have fake out every season.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like they're in complicated situation, and then bad shit happen to them, and you think it's something bad is going to happen, and then something good happen.
I have a theory about how the gates opened twice for Nynaeve. It's because the pattern really wanted Nynaeve to be around so people could continue to tell Egwene that Nynaeve is the strongest channeler they've seen in 1,000 years.
That's it.
The pattern has a sense of humor.
I think we nailed it. I think we figured it out. Matt figured it out.
I had a few short last things regarding the test. The test contained also like 2 of my favorite shots in this episode, like when we see Nynaeve in the field. The way the camera moved was very nice for like the beginning of both the first 2 tests. I think it was very well done. It looked pretty. It looked fairy, I don't know how to say that. And I love that. And also like that fucking herb
Crimson Thorn.
that appeared in like the first test and the second test was also there in the previous episode. And I'm like, why does it keep coming back? I am curious. Is it just coming back because she was thinking about that because it was literally like 2 hours before her test? Or does it have a meaning for later on in the season or in the show? I don't know, but it's bugging me.
I assume it will have some kind of meaning.
I suspect, yeah. It'll
I suspect too, but what is it gonna be?
I mean, it could be both. It could be that it's something recent in her brain, and also for like story reasons, it will become important later.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
The world may never know.
Anything else so we can move to the spoiler part?
Nothing non-spoilery.
So let's start with the spoilers. Who wants to start and with what? Do you want to keep on the tower and the test since we're talking on that?
Since we were already there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really loved... I liked the change because what happens in the books is Nynaeve does the test and instead of, being dead for a while, she just channels when she's not supposed to be able to, and people are shook, and she does the impossible. Effectively, the same thing happens.
Yes.
So, yes, it's more dramatic, but I don't think it changes anything about the story.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think the way that it plays out, it both works well with what the show has already established with Nynaeve as a character and how things work in the show world. And also just like it's essentially, like you said, James, it plays out essentially the same way.
Right. Like, what does this change?
Exactly.
Except for more trauma for Egwene.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Which she is not going to have enough of this season, so we need to get it in there early.
Gotta pack it in.
Our little trauma babies.
Yeah. Oh.
There was also some nice foreshadowing in the test itself, the last test especially. Like we had Matt in fancy clothes because he's gonna be a noble by the end of this series, so that fits.
Mm-hmm.
He loses an eye,
Mm-hmm.
which is very important. And also, like, Perrin gets killed by an axe, so which means the axe comes back again for Perrin. So, cool stuff.
Also, it alludes to Egwene choosing the Green Aja, which she said she would if she didn't go, if she wasn't the Amerlin. And then also Lan gets stabbed through the chest, which is how he not goes out, but that's how that happens.
So that's gonna be his own fake death for...
That's right. That's right.
See, there were fake outs in the books too.
The last battle was full of fake out.
Oh my god.
Birgitta, she dies. She doesn't die.
She doesn't die.
She's still dead, but...
She's still dead, but different.
I just don't like fake outs generally.
Yeah, that's understandable. Anything else on the test, or can I switch to something about the tower?
No, I think that's it, yeah.
So, there's a few things regarding Egwene that I really liked. Egwene saying, "You have no idea what I'm capable of." We keep joking about the tower, like everyone in the tower being like, Egwene is a friend of the most powerful channelers, kind of thing. But it's like, it's basically one kind of the reason why she becomes Amerlin, because she's friend with the Dragon Reborn, and everyone is underestimating her, and then she shows them what she's capable of. So I love that they're setting that up very early on. I love it for her.
Mm-hmm.
It's really well done. It's just, all it's doing is fueling what is already in Egwene, like that desire to prove herself and to be who she knows she can be. And this is just fueling it because like it's, and what's great is that neither of them like this. Nynaeve hates hearing this. She doesn't like it either. This is not fun for her. But Egwene especially does not like it because like for obvious reasons, you know?
But also the same conversation, there's Liandrin telling her it's not always the most powerful woman who writes history, it's the ones who survived. Saying that to Egwene was heartbreaking to me.
Oh yeah, if you didn't remember, Matt, Egwene dies.
Yes!
I don't like that.
Oh my god. Like, this is what I mean. Liandrin hits, like, she has this ability to pinpoint everyone's insecurities.
I mean, she doesn't know. It's good writing, too.
That's the thing. It's so good on so many different levels because, like, yeah, it's Liandrin being an absolute bitch once again, but also the writers are like, wink. It's great.
I can already see, like, non-reader finishing the show and then going for a rewatch and then seeing that and crying.
I'm just so excited for, like, after some things are revealed, seeing a BuzzFeed article that's like 10 things that you missed that told us Liandrin was Black Aja.
Yep. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Because, like, I think people are aware that Liandrin is shady. She's doing some shady things. They get that. But they don't know the extent to which she's doing shady shit.
Yeah.
I did see a weird article that was like, who are the Forsaken in the Wheel of Time? And I'm like, what reality am I living in?
I know. It's great.
This is very surreal.
It's great.
I do like how despite the cattiness, well, the unintentional cattiness of the whole, it's the ones who survive line, is that the people who die in history don't write it, but Elayne doesn't just die. Like, she becomes part of history. She becomes a permanent monument. So, like...
Yeah, I'm like, she's literally a monument. Like...
she literally becomes history itself, which...
Yeah, she's like, you know how I'm going to go out?
Yeah.
I'm going to be a statue.
That's right.
So not even does she prove Leandrin wrong, she does it in the most Egwene way possible, which I love, and I'm still not looking forward to because I'm still not over Egwene's death.
Yeah.
I hope the show makes like Matt or Perrin die.
No.
I really do.
No.
Because only one of the Amonsfield 5 dying.
I know.
It wasn't enough. That was a main letdown for me in A Memory of Light.
I know.
The stakes should have been higher.
Aran should have died.
I think that you can have stakes without people dying left and right.
Okay. So do we want to talk about Lo? Oh, no. Let's talk about Uno.
Oh.
We don't talk about Uno, no.
We don't talk about Uno. Prior to recording, we were talking about how people were reacting to it. I have been out of the discourse, so I did not see any of this. Uno doesn't matter, y'all.
This is what yes.
Uno is a side character that doesn't do anything in the books, that is role-played very well on Twitter of Time and is a beloved character, but they don't matter. And don't get me wrong, I love Guy Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
Dude follows me on Twitter. I've interacted with him. He's great. He calls me Jimmy. He's the only person allowed to do that.
Aww.
I don't care.
Yeah. It's this thing that happens where like something unexpected happens to a minor character, or like a change happens. It's the same effect as like Matt Cawthon's parents, where people are like, no, we can't accept this. There's no way they were terrible. I refuse to accept this. And I'm just like, y'all, they're not breaking anything with this. Nothing is breaking.
The people who were like, I loved Abel Cawthon. Abel Cawthon was a perfect father. And the fact that they did this to my favorite character in the Wheel of Time is too much. Like, I can't. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, it's too much. It's like, what else was Uno supposed to accomplish later on? What else?
I can understand people feeling sad because he was an important character. I felt bad for like the person on Twitter who are cosplaying a lot as Uno because
Kitsune Gare, yeah.
They're a good friend too. Yeah, and I know they felt bad and they did not expect it at all because they talk a lot with Sky Roberts and they had no idea it was coming. And I can understand, for example, like some discussion about like in fiction, how much death do you need to make things matters and this kind of thing. I did think that Uno at some point needed to die because we have too many characters and we cannot keep them all and it doesn't do much about like after a while. And it's complicated to just let characters retire because sometimes it happens, but sometimes it also means that for 8 seasons you're gonna get, hey, is that character coming back? Hey, is that character coming back? Hey, is that character coming back?
Yeah.
But outside of that, like one thing that I was a bit more annoyed about is there was a few people that I saw that were like, the show is trying to do like Game of Thrones because they're trying to show violence and they're trying to show that everyone can be killed and this kind of thing. And I'm like, well, first thing first, there's plenty of violence in the books.
Yes.
Dumas Vale happened. There's a lot of gory thing. We may skim over those, but it's gonna be bloody later on. So
if this is where people are getting like, oh, this is too much, I have some news for y'all.
Yeah.
I have some news for y'all.
But that's not just regarding Game of Thrones. It feels very like unfair to constantly, like every time the show does something that people disagree with, to say like, oh, they're trying to do like Game of Thrones. Like, the show is going to do a little bit of nudity. Oh, they're trying to do like Game of Thrones. The show is going to do a bit of bloody thing. Oh, they're trying to do like Game of Thrones. And I'm like, do you guys remember Game of Thrones?
I mean, it's the only other epic fantasy series they have to compare The Wheel of Time to, which on one hand is fair, on the other hand is stupid.
Yes.
Because like Game of Thrones, it was a lack of consent all the time. Women being degraded all the time. People having like 15-second death scene where they're eyeballs is being pushed inside of their skull and their skull then explode. It's like,
Yeah.
Can we remember when we say those kind of things that the show has proven many times that is trying to offer a different vision of what high fantasy can be.
Mm-hmm.
And that a high fantasy series doesn't mean just like white dudes and women being pointless or like meaningless. And I don't know, if anytime there's something that we're a bit mad about, we always say like, oh, they're trying to do like Game of Thrones. I'm like, are they, Sue?
Yeah. I think people need to start embracing keeping it simple and saying, I didn't like this, and leaving it at that. Just say you didn't like it.
Don't you understand this is my entire identity? Look, as someone whose identity was the Wheel of Time for 15 years, stop. Stop while you can.
Before it's too late.
Go fuck people.
But I know Matt didn't like Uno dying, so
So let's give Matt the stage.
I mean, I don't know, like I disagree heavily with the idea that you can't use Game of Thrones, but I do agree with you that every time someone disagrees with the books, like they're trying to be Game of Thrones. I actually haven't seen, at least to me, it doesn't feel like The Wheel of Time is trying to be Game of Thrones that much. Like there's so many ways in which it's different. My point is that Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead both did this thing in culture where it's sort of set us up to not have expectations that stakes are high unless people are dying. And a lot of them are dying, and often in graphic ways. Uno's death wasn't the most graphic thing I've seen. It was probably the most graphic the most graphic Wheel of Time death so far. But I think that, and I've seen it not just in fantasy, but in every other form of media. Like I've noticed a lot more like, oh, who's going to live through the season? Who's going to die? And it's happened a lot more since Game of Thrones, because the Game of Thrones, basically, with Ned Stark being decapitated, they essentially said no one's safe. And that worked for Game of Thrones. And then a bunch of other TV shows started copying it. I'm not saying that's what happens with Uno. This is a very nuanced point I'm trying to make. It didn't happen with Uno. Uno's not that important. He's funny, yes. We love him, yes. It sucks that he's dead, yes. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter because he doesn't really do anything crucial in the series. My only concern is, and this is probably my bias that goes back with the slavery part and the Damane, is I thought the scene was horrifying enough, and I thought the Sanchan meant business and were terrifying. And then Uno died, and I was like, oh, okay, so this is just going to be like a death spectacle now. That was my first reaction. I've done some more thinking about it. I can see more where y'all are coming from, and the fact that Uno dies doesn't bother me as much. I'm wary that it's like what someone said earlier, like, oh, just kill more Emmons Fielders. Like, I don't think that's necessary to show that the stakes are high, and I don't think it's necessary to kill people a lot to show that stakes are high. And I do think that Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead, even more than Game of Thrones, have I don't want to say, I guess, poisoned the well in pop culture to have us like mid-season premiere, oh, not everybody's going to make it out alive. And granted, that's been going on for like years and years and decades, but I've seen a lot more of it now recently. And part of what I like so much about Wheel of Time is that I don't feel like they're trying to be Game of Thrones. And this was the first time when I thought it was Game of Thrones adjacent. I don't know who said it was the Red Wedding, but that was not me, because no.
No, I didn't see like Red Wedding. I saw like people saying it was as gruesome as Oberyn's death.
Mm-hmm.
Which
it was not.
No, absolutely not.
For those who don't know, that dude died after 15 seconds. And I went back to watch the scene because I wanted to know how many seconds it was. And like it's 15 seconds of Clegane pushing into his eyes ball until his skull explodes.
I'll just say I have concerns. I think I trust Rafe. I don't think that characters who were used, I don't think that there should be a, ooh, nobody's safe, anybody could die type of mentality, because that's not what Wheel of Time is. But I do agree that the Sanchan should have killed somebody, because us book readers know what was happening. For us book readers, the Damane selection was terrifying, but not everyone is a book reader. And not everybody understands why that was terrifying. So they had to kill somebody in a pretty icky way to get across that the Sanchan mean business. So I get that, and I do buy that argument. But like I've seen a lot of, anybody can die now. It's like anyone can die. The stakes are high. And like, really, do we really need a series where part of our stakes depend on the idea that anybody could die at any time? Because I don't feel that's what Wheel of Time is. I do agree that there are some really gruesome deaths. Lanfear asking which one of you is Avienda is great. I don't know. I feel like I've gotten my point across. I don't care for... I guess I agree that the Uno death doesn't matter in the long run, and it got across the point to non-book readers. For me personally, it took me out of the scene because for me, slavery is more horrifying. Like the institution of slavery is more horrifying than death. So when Uno was killed, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not so terrified anymore. Like it's weird. I don't know.
But that's the thing. Like I don't think they've completely gotten into how based on slavery the Sanchan are.
Right.
Like all we've really seen from them is they've picked individuals from a crowd. They're not picking people necessarily en masse. It's obvious that there's something happening, and all that people are being asked to do is to serve and bow. Like that's really the only sort of idea that we've gotten from them. We know better. We know what's going on, but
yeah, that's why I've softened up on that stance a little bit, because like I know what the Damane selection is. I'm horrified by it. Like it churned my stomach. But not everyone does. And the non-book readers need a way to know that the Sanchan mean business. So I agree with that. I guess personally, it just didn't feel well executed as a scene to me. I don't know.
I just love that Guy Roberts' wife ordered his death.
I know, it's great. It's fantastic.
I saw Guy Roberts' tweet after the episode was...
Yeah, so sweet.
Yeah, he had a sore throat, as he said in his tweet.
Yeah.
I heard someone say that maybe they're going to use Uno as a hero of the Horn.
That would be cool.
And
that would be nice.
I think it's a cool idea.
That would be cool.
Could be a cool Easter egg, I guess.
I would love that.
One thing that I was curious about regarding the Damane, I don't know how to say that. Mm-hmm. There's this one girl, Miri, that is able to detect women who can channel. In season 1, we had Nynaeve in the middle of an Aes Sedai camp, and apparently nobody knew she could channel. Which means that detecting people who can channel is not automatic. We also have Logain that has this glow around Rand, indicating that Rand can channel. So I'm kind of curious if, like, being able to tell whether someone can channel or not is just a talent, and maybe this Damane has this talent. That was my theory.
I like that as opposed to everybody can see everybody.
I think it creates a little bit more tension in things, so that people don't just automatically know.
Mystery is good.
Mystery is good. It's nice. I agree. That was the impression that I got as well, that the Damane it's a talent that she has. She is able to sense people who are able to embrace the source. And I like that. I hope that's the case.
And it will explain a bit more why Aes Sedai have been missing potential sisters for a long time.
Why the novices have gone so... because it's stupid in the books. It's stupid why they have so few people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not because they're yes, they're killing out all of the male channelers and stuff, but as Egwene proves, there's so many women that can channel.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's dumb. Do we have anything else on the Sanchan?
No.
No, I don't think so.
I did really love Lady Dulain. Lady Dulain is Moiraine's sister in the books.
No, that's Anvar.
Oh, I'm sorry. Lady Anvar.
Anvar, yes.
Anvar. Sorry, I got the names mixed up. Lady Anvar being Moiraine's sister, I think she might be the queen, or maybe it's... I don't know. I got that vibe, but it doesn't quite make sense with Moiraine saying that she's a lady from a fallen house, but maybe she's fallen out of favor. I don't know. But I loved Lady Anvar. She was great.
Yeah.
I love that actress as well. She is in my favorite episode of Doctor Who. And she's great. The end.
Yeah. I am excited to see more damage reds coming out of the woodwork. It's going to be really, because we know Moraine is headed to Kyrick. I can never pronounce the name of the city that starts with the C, where Rand is. How do you pronounce it?
Karen.
Moraine is heading there.
Like a Karen.
Like Karen. Yeah, exactly.
I say Carhine because a Southerner.
Oh, God. Moraine is heading there, and so inevitably she is going to run into her relatives. And I'm sure that's going to be just super delightful for Moraine when she's already at her lowest point. So that's going to be fun. Yeah.
And talking about that scene in Karen, I did enjoy the red coat with all of the heron, and it's something from the books, but apparently we are gonna get the heron brand, so I like that.
Yeah, the coat was a really, really nice touch. And also, Rand throwing out the invitations, the letters, was also fantastic.
Yeah,
also very good.
And Celine's in logo is a moon with stars.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, it's, once again, we are watching Natasha O'Keeffe play Lanfear, who is playing Celine. And the layers that are involved, and this is really the first time that we're seeing the cracks in that performance that she's doing. And it happens because Rand is not paying attention to her. And that is infuriating to her. That is the one thing that she's like, nope, can't have this, cannot have this.
One thing too is that scene where she's like, if you leave me again, I will kill you.
That's so hot.
I think it's a dream.
Oh, yeah. I think so too. Yeah.
I was pretty sure it was a dream.
Yeah.
Which part?
The part where Rand and Celine fuck with Rand with a red coat, and then he starts channeling, and then he wake up and he's channeling, and the inn is on fire.
I didn't like that scene because it was messy to me, the editing, and I'm curious to see how it's explained.
Yeah, same.
That's fair.
I think it's a dream.
Yeah, I think so too. It's not very obvious what exactly is happening.
Anything else on Lanfear or?
No, I love everything. Like, most changes, I would say 90% of the changes from the books the show makes, I'm positively ambivalent, which means, I don't care a lot, but I'm looking forward to seeing where it brings us. I'd say 5% I don't like, and this falls into the category of the 5% that I am, so on board with, so in love with. I am here for Celine Lanfear as an innkeeper. I'm here for her. I'm just here for the entire dynamic. I don't know how it's going to shake out. I don't know what the dynamics are, but this is a change. Don't get me wrong. I love the sort of otherworldly aspect Celine has in the books. But I think that this works so much better for the show, the way that the show is trying to set itself and its storylines up. And I just love the scenes between Celine and Rand so much. And it's not just because Yosha is shirtless in some of them, but that does play a role, sorts.
The only thing that I had left was the scene with Ishamael talking to Perrin about the wolf. I think it's so smart, because Perrin is constantly worried about turning into a wolf in the book, which gets very quickly tiring. Now he's going to be scared of becoming a wolf and then becoming attached to one of the Forsaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ishamael is definitely lying, but Perrin doesn't know.
Yeah, Ishamael is seriously fucking with Perrin, and not in the fun way. He is playing the most intense of mind games with Perrin right now, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's very on brand for him. it's just, yeah.
Yeah, I think Ishamael is doing a very, very good job of being Ishamael.
Yeah.
I love Ishibu.
Yeah. The other thoughts that I had were mostly about Leandrin and what kind of they're doing with her. Mm-hmm. It seems like I'm getting the impression that it's kind of a merge with Alviren. Mm-hmm. I think that makes the most sense, because we know that Elida is showing up at some point, because Rafe has confirmed that. So it's possible that she may get some of the stuff that Elida does, mm-hmm. And Leandrin does it instead, because Leandrin is here now and Elida isn't. But I'm thinking it's a kind of merge with Alviarin. I don't think we'll know for sure until it's revealed, until we get the reveal with Leandrin about her allegiances.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm curious whether, like, there's a lot of... I think sometimes in the fandom we are talking too often about merging two characters and just thinking about those two characters together and that's it, and kind of focalizing of, okay, those two characters, they did all of this, so that means this one character is going to do all of this. I feel like more and more what's going to happen is that they're going to have a few characters available in a given place, and they're going to have this, and this to be done in that specific place, and they're going to split that among the characters available in the given place. And it's going to be less like, oh, those two characters are being fully merged, and more like, okay, we need to get that done. Who can do that?
Yeah, I agree. Because we got, like, I mean, there was a little bit of Swan that we got with Leandrin, with the scene with Leandrin and Nynaeve in the kitchen, where, like...
Yeah, the last episode, yeah.
Yeah, the last episode, there was a callback to that, and I like that they're doing that, because they can't have, all of the characters can't and are not available. And I mean, the actors and actresses, they're not always available, so they have to be creative with how they plan things out. And so, yeah, it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Queers of Time. This is a longer episode, so be nice to us and pay us money, because this podcast has cost us about $1,700 to make. I just did the finances this morning. Thank you so much. Find us on Discord, find us on Twitter, X, find us on wherever the hell you want. Just search for Queers of Time, or what I told people earlier, that Gay Wheel of Time podcast, and you will find us. Thank you so much. Patreon, money please.
Money please.
Bye.
Thank you all for listening. This was Queers of Time, a Wheel of Time podcast. The music is Dance of the Witches by Julius H.